Hello, Astro friends. Melanie on the 21st of May 2025. And these are literally the first hours of the Gemini season. Gemini started today at 11:55 a.m. Pacific Daylight Savings Time. Nice numbers for Gemini. The two doubles, 11:55, and then on top of it, right? So the 5 also relates to the fifth chakra, which has to do with which is the throat chakra, and it's about speech. It's about speaking out truth. It's ruled by Mercury, as is Gemini. I love it. It's just a matter of recognizing all these synchronicities. They play out all the time, some clearer than others. Anyway, what a week to come. What a first week of Gemini. Lots going on, a diverse array of newness, including the Gemini New Moon on the 26th. But even before that, there's so much almost on a daily basis. So let's see. Let's start with Gemini. Early Gemini has a Libra undertone. The first 10 degrees, the first 10 days until the 30th of May. Libra undertone. What's that about? The Gemini Libra combination is also about relatedness, balance, fairness, curiosity, good communication, speaking with one another, and also negotiations. Like hopefully we finally have effective peace negotiations. Super needed. Then we have Pisces moon at this point. Today the moon is in Pisces, tomorrow still Pisces waning moon. Wonderful time to flush things out, to release, to connect. And I'm literally doing laundry while I'm recording this. So very Piscean 2 days, especially tomorrow, second day of the moon in Pisces, when the moon, or actually even more so on Thursday the 22nd, that's when the moon also meets the north node, the lunar north node, and Saturn barely still in Pisces. So this is all about endings, release, right? It's also a waning moon in Pisces, which could also prompt us to reflect back and actually communicate and share, right, the Gemini side, and learn about the Pisces age that is now coming to an end while the Aquarius age is coming in. And there's various markers for that. One of these markers will be Saturn and Neptune. Saturn is also about a threshold, a closure, and a new beginning. And Neptune is about releasing. It's like a out breath and an in breath, right? So again, on a more subtle level, and Saturn on a more concrete level, they come together on the first degree and second degree of Aries, starting a whole new zodiac cycle, but also in conjunction, which super rarely happens. And that will be on for the first time in the month of July, and then fully exact on February 20th, 2026. So one of the markers. And another marker, of course, being Pluto, now fully in Aquarius since November 19th last year. Pluto being in Aquarius till 2043, 44. Then we also have this year Uranus going into Gemini, also another outer planet, a slow-moving transpersonal planet, changing signs. And Gemini also being all about information. So get ready for yet another level of information revolution. So, but I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit. Not too much, since the other big news, of course, of the week, besides now lots of Pisces energy, as I said, right, is Saturn entering Aries for the first time in about 28 years. Goes into, it has a 29-year cycle and hasn't been in Aries for a while. And this year, Saturn will be only briefly in Aries as a try-on phase until September 1st. That starts on Saturday, the 24th of May, or if you are in Europe and east of, so Asia, Australia, Africa, you will have the 25th of May 2025, also nice alignment, and that will be then the Sunday, of course. So Saturn going into Aries, that's huge. And as I said, not fully enters next February, shortly before lining up then also with Neptune. But now we have a pre-taste. And the new moon that we'll have on the 26th, 2 days later, will also catalyze Saturn fully into this initial phase into Aries. New zodiac cycle. What's going on? This is also Saturn admonishes us and says, for example, when it comes to Aries and war, stop that war. No more war. What's going on here? There needs to be an end to this. So this is hope on that front, like literally speaking. And Saturn also links, not quite directly yet, but energetically with Chiron in Aries in the last 5-6 years since 2019, and all these wars in the meantime, medical wars on the ground. I mean, yeah, especially Ukraine, of course, and Gaza, and many other so-called hotspots where there's so much killing and destruction going on. So Saturn says, let's really call it out here. This is something is seriously wrong with this and has to come to a closure for also a whole new era to begin. And a new era, the Aquarius Age era, is not about wars and suffering, especially the suffering side that we've seen so much in the Pisces age of the last 2,100 years, with sacrifice, suffering in the name of an ideology, a religion, and so on, right? And so this is good news. And it's also for all of us who have Aries, especially early Aries energy. Saturn wants us to also be very intentional about it, very clear about it. What is our role? What is our dharma, our karma in terms of being brave, showing up for ourselves, showing up for something that really matters to us, and put that out there. When, if not now, says Aries, right? This is the time, not out of panic, not out of survival mode, but out of a place of pure and acute presence, right? Radical presence, and life is now. What do you do about it? This is what Saturn says. Saturn's like literally in Aries, like a life coach, coach that makes us feel more alive, right? And more about that in an article I write about it. And of course, let's see what we experience with Saturn freshly in Aries for the end of spring until towards the end of summer, 1st of September. Then we have another shift on Sunday. Mercury goes into Gemini, but not before making contact with Uranus. Also on the 24th, almost missed that part with the Saturn feature. The 24th will be actually a big day, lots of things going on. And one of them, as I said, will be Mercury, end of Taurus, meeting and passing Uranus. So Uranus is also known to be the higher octave of Mercury. What does that mean? It's a transpersonal planet, while Mercury is about direct communication, between humans and other life forms. Uranus is about the action and the mind itself, right? Mercury is about the individualized mind, while Uranus is the mind that connects really with divine inspiration, so to say. It's an innovative, it's a revolutionary mind, it's an out of the box, it's a paradigm shifting mind, it's a provocative thing. It is not your regular, your regular, usual way of thinking. And that can really come up, especially surprise and shocking or positively surprise news. News being Mercury and then the Uranus factor, right? So already moving in that direction and building up for Saturday, and this can lead over into the Gemini, ruled by Mercury, new moon on the 26th. So we're having lots of Mercury, Uranus, Gemini energy now, having quite the shift from the Taurus season. And yeah, let's see what this Uranus and Mercury combination brings. Typically, we recognize it when it's there, right? And that itself is super valuable because then we can see things in an archetypal way rather than just random happenings, right? And of course, all the cycles, all the various the references that we have with the astrological gift. Then, as I said, Mercury enters Gemini on the 25th of May, Sunday, until June the 8th. So this will be a shorter time. Mercury has been for medium time in Taurus, but a very long time in Pisces and in Aries, where it went retrograde. You probably remember that was all February, March was very strong. Pisces, Aries. Now we have Mercury coming into its own, one of its own ruled signs, Gemini. And there it's about curiosity, it's about lifelong learning. It's also, Gemini is also an alchemist, alchemizing dualities. So bringing, connecting the dots, puzzle pieces together where there is, the missing pieces often, or also some match points and it's an interplay. It's a cross pollination, if you will, right? So it's also literally Gemini is the season of the pollinators and birds and all the winged beings. So Mercury adds to that. So also bring lightness into your world, bring lightness and communicate and inform because of joy and because you need to transmit something, and don't be attached to how it's received and whether it is you get validation or anything about that. Don't get attached, just be the messenger. And also be intuitive. The intuition part would be also Uranus with Mercury. So yeah, and Mercury in Gemini, lightness energy, lots of information, and wonderful time for reading and writing. Now on Monday the 26th, we have the last new moon in spring, the new moon in Gemini. And that will be at, how interesting, 6:06 Gemini. Gemini is also typically in June. Haven't looked up the Sabian symbol yet, and that will be part of the newsletter and the blog article I write about it. What's the time of the new moon? 8:02 p.m. Pacific Daylight Savings Time on the 26th. So it could be the 27th. Once again, if you're Europe, Africa, or Asia, or Australia. And what's this new moon about? It will be also Memorial Day in the US. And here is the chart for the new moon. So as you see, there is a lot of energy here wrapping around what I call the voice point from Taurus to Gemini, with Uranus still being back in Taurus, Mercury freshly in Gemini, Sun and Moon in Gemini. So voice point. What's with voice point? This Taurus energy is about senses, is about sound also. It rules the throat. Throat also in terms of intake, in terms of food intake. And then the breathing factor comes in from the Gemini side, and also the voice, the sound of the voice adds, so words are being added, and content, and information. So this is actually also finding your voice. And I've actually found that lots of people with planets here on this voice point do have a distinct voice. And the theme is also, yeah, speaking up for your for what you value, right? Gemini Taurus, and voicing something that's important to you. And when you have planets wrapped around, that doesn't necessarily mean you're doing it all the time. You're good at that. It's easy. No, this is your journey. This is something to explore, to work on, to deal with in this lifetime. And then, yeah, the new moon with Uranus on the voice point, and that being also lots of themes now need to be out and discussed that have maybe been held back and hasn't been comfortable, so to say, right? From a Taurus perspective, Gemini says, yeah, talk to people about it, bring things out into the open, air it, yeah. And yeah, so that new moon, what else is going on with that new moon? As I said, it catalyzes Saturn into Aries, which would happen 2 days prior. So 26, Saturn on the 24th. And as you see here, Saturn and Neptune are already pretty close, and super close actually. And the North Node end of Pisces is also connected with them. Although the North Node is going retrograde, I will slowly separate from them. But for now, and at this conjunction energy, especially for July and starting in June, it will be strong. So Saturn will be catalyzed into Aries together with Neptune already being there since the 30th of March. And it's a new moon. So it's a lot about newness, a new era. Wherever you have this this emergence point, the 0 point and first degree of Aries in your chart, new renewal really wants to happen in your life. Check that out. It's really significant. Saturn and Neptune only come together every 37 years, and hardly ever on this very, very point. Right? So this is where this renewal wants to show up in your life. Together, of course, with early Aquarius, also where Pluto is. And yeah, and as said for Neptune, a wave of renewal. For Saturn, I don't quite have the title yet. It'll come, and I write an article. And I also invite you to a parlor where we explore this. On the 27th, the day after the new moon, we explore here live in person, and I might do another group online, a Aries parlor, and Saturn, Neptune now freshly in Aries really calls for that, and especially if you have something in Aries, you're very welcome. Now, yeah, that piece. Then the new moon on the 26th. And then we have also on the horizon, not quite there yet, but you can see it, right? Jupiter is coming to the end of Gemini. Speaking of this Gemini energy, right? With the new moon and Mercury, lots of Gemini in the new moon field, but Jupiter soon moving out of it on the 9th of June. So between this new moon and the next new moon in early Cancer, Jupiter shifts into Cancer. And this is what I call a nesting point, where the flying around and the cross-pollination, as I said, is coming to a settling and to a nest building place, to a we want to actually come to a place of belonging, right? Belonging being a big theme with Cancer. And we will feel so much more. Cancer is Jupiter in the first water sign of the zodiac and exalted there, super strong, right? Lots to feel, lots of emotions, a lot is going on likely in the two Cancer countries, USA and Canada, both July 1st, July 4th, right? And yeah, so that shift is also on the horizon. So as you see, it's definitely not boring. There's lots going on. And now let's look at the moon in closure. The moon, as said, is in Pisces now. Today, pretty much all day. And tomorrow, the 21st, all day. Until Thursday, the 22nd, in the morning at 9:25 a.m. the moon enters Aries. So yeah, also always a shift from Pisces to Aries every month, right? So there's now it's more like everything is on a flow, or maybe we're preparing for something, maybe we're releasing. With the Aries moon, there's definitely a energizing effect, and we want to get things going. Maybe also the heat comes back here on the west coast because it's been a bit cool lately, and maybe Aries heats things up a bit. Aries moon will be on the most of Thursday, as I said, from the mid-morning on, all day Friday, all day, no, not all day, Saturday until 10:38 a.m. Then she goes into Taurus, where she's very comfortable, and it can be a very nourishing weekend from the moon's perspective, Saturday, Sunday. But as I said, there's other things going on which have quite the overlay, especially Saturn entering Aries, right? So if you would like to do it's actually before the new moon, so I wouldn't necessarily say yeah, it can be a release ceremony and a ceremony on this threshold of between the old and the new, right? That would be fantastic, especially Saturday, Sunday, and even Monday, if you will, right? Because it's the new moon, and the new moon in the evening. So yeah, what a weekend. Then, so the moon goes into Gemini from Monday, only Monday, yeah, because it's early Gemini new moon. From 10:21 a.m. on, the moon will be in Gemini, and new moon at 8:02 p.m. all day Tuesday also in Gemini. But that new moon is basically the concentration of that phase where most planets or celestial bodies at this point this year, maybe even, but definitely at this point in late spring, are in an air sign and are in Gemini. So yeah, wonderful time to launch new projects, as I said, relating to writing or also diversifying, right? When something tickles your interest and you might have gotten a little bored lately, yeah, get something going. Do some stimulate your mind, right? Feed your mind would be also the moon in Gemini. Without getting overly, just cerebral, but definitely so much to learn. And I would also suggest to honor these last days, last days of Jupiter in Gemini after the new moon in Gemini on the 26th. And then we have until the 9th, which is actually exactly 2 weeks when Jupiter leaves Gemini. This would be a beautiful time, beautiful window also for anything that you would say, this needs to take flight, right? This needs to go out and being the messenger, as I said, also being the messenger of love, of inspiration, of compassion, and yeah, and keep it light, right? Gemini has a lightness to it, and alchemize the dualities. So that's also where Pisces comes in with a connection, what could have gone into division, which can be also Gemini, right? Including your own life. Maybe you're in two different worlds, right? It's also very Gemini. And be delighted by the interesting experience around that, but also don't get to, split through that, and find unity. That's it for this week, and I hope you have an interesting, exciting, and conscious and delightful week until we see each other again. And yeah, wish you well. Ciao.